Hey everybody, it's Vlad from Flamingo here, and in this episode of How We Are Building Flamingo, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of a dive into how we developed the pricing for the product, kind of the work behind the scenes, what we thought about, how we decided to actually, do it at the end of the day, all of the nuances of working with AI-related pricing and tokens, how we kind of considered what we need to do against what is available on the market according to where we are. So pretty much we tried to cover the key things and wanted to share it with you guys here in this short episode. So let's kind of get right into it. So when we initially started this process, the question that we had in mind was, why is it so hard for a MSP to go to a vendor and get a transparent price, like front door price, without getting locked into a super long contract with a bunch of contingencies? And it's like, the process is extremely complicated and it's extremely overwhelming. If you're a brand new MSP and you're entering the marketplace, unless you have a dedicated stock of clients that are paying you, you understand that, you have to essentially buy software from vendors. They're going to lock you into long-term contracts. And essentially, you're basically locked down into paying those prices and ensuring that your business stays afloat. And if something goes wrong with the business, which you never know, things can go wrong, the vendor doesn't really care. You're locked into a contract and they will get their money one way or another, right? So we've heard stories of MSPs just unable to pay for their costs because they lost clients and they're not profitable. And these companies are just sending collectors after them and things like this. So we also know that a lot of vendors in the space are using sales tactics, right? So if you want to use the software, you have to hop on a call with the salesperson who's going to show you the product and try to sway you into a long-term contract. And it's a very salesy process, which we are trying to steer away from. We want to be more transparent and we want to be more self-serve focused, right? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And there's no hard commitments. So the idea is we wanted to make really transparent and simplified pricing so that you essentially understand at the end of the month how much you're going to need to pay to use our software, right? Without having to do crazy number crunching or anything like that. Regardless of what day it is in the month, approximately what you're going to have to pay, if not to the T. And we essentially designed with that thought process in mind. So essentially, we had some pricing that looked like this, where we threw it into 3 tiers, right? So based on different sizes, if you're very just starting out MSP at 10 devices, you would get the starter plan. If you were kind of growing, but still not huge, right? You had a couple of clients, you're kind of building a name for yourself. We already give you a bit of a discount there. And then if you're a sophisticated MSP managing 1,000 plus endpoints, give you even more pricing. But even though this theoretically sounded okay, it became super complicated, so many different tiers and different instances. And I just felt for what we were trying to do with a simplified approach, it was just not the right move. And we looked at, what different vendors did and how they priced per device, per technician, contingencies, so how the price changes after you reach a certain threshold of devices or if you commit to a certain period of time. And it's super complex, convoluted, and it's not transparent. And one of the things that, what's important for us is that we are transparent with the end user, that they know what to expect, right? That they're not hit with any kind of surprises with the bill at the end of the month. So we decided to scratch that and we decided to make something a lot simpler. And this just goes back to if pricing needs a decoder ring or if it's just in general super complicated, it's just a pain in the ass and it's not something that is definitely user friendly. So what we decided to do was to make it a lot simpler, a lot clearer, and focus specifically on just making it simple as possible. So the pricing starts for OpenFrame at $1 per device per month, which is much lower than pretty much any vendor out there, unless we're talking huge bulk, right? But $1 per device is clear. If you have 100 devices, you pay $100. If you have 10 devices, you pay $10. If you have 1,000, you pay 1,000. There's no complexity there. And we're also offering 80 cents on an annual plan. Obviously, we want people to commit with us long term as we build out the product and expand the capabilities and use cases that it has. So for users that decide to take the annual plan, we give them an 80 cents per device favorable price. Now, that's just the device part, right? So there's also the AI token part, which is a bit more complicated, and we'll go into that in a second here. But in terms of the price, so it's per device pricing, not per tech, and it's very transparent. $1 per one device. Obviously, we may iterate with time, but for where we are now, we believe that this was the most simplified, logical, and very reasonable kind of setup that we could offer to the market. Now, obviously, we are AI heavy, right? I mean, the product is built with the AI kind of foundation in mind. And the product, with most MSP vendors, you have the software and then you have the AI add-on. What we're doing with what we're building with OpenFrame is that the AI is essentially the core foundation around what the product is built. So basically, every aspect of the product is connected back to the AI, to the co-pilots, and how they all function together, right? So we're building with the AI in mind, understanding that AI is going to continue to advance. And, as we continue to learn how to work with it, how to improve our own machine learning and make it more efficient for MSPs, it just seems like an exponentially beneficial relationship to have AI tied to the center of what we're building. So now, how do we work with tokens? So tokens are an interesting thing. Every AI SaaS product in the marketplace has their own approach. There is no one size fits all approach. Everyone kind of does what they think makes sense, which is fair. We decided that we wanted to also take our own approach to it. And we decided to offer token usage for both tiers. So basically, if you're getting the monthly plan, we're giving 10 monthly tokens for you per month. And then if you sign up for the annual plan, you get 25 million tokens a month for the entire year. So that sounds all good and dandy, but for somebody looking from the outside in, they have kind of no idea what the hell 10 million or 25 million tokens actually means. Like, well, what does that come out to? What does that give me? And we'll get to that in a second. But as I wanted to mention before, so we're not doing per technician pricing. The idea behind OpenFrame is that, as many MSPs know, as you grow in size and endpoints and clients, that proportionally means to needing to hire more techs to handle the endpoints, to handle all of the infrastructure behind it. And obviously, typically as you hire more people, the efficiency of the team typically tends to go down because not every hire is going to be an amazing hire. And in general, when there's a lot of people in a company, coordination tends to decline unless you have extremely robust processes, which not all companies do, and unless all employees follow those processes, which also doesn't always happen. And the idea here is that we wanted to give MSPs and their techs an instrument, a tool that allows them to, without having to add more people, just because there's more devices to manage, give them a tool to help them handle more devices at scale. And that's exactly what we're doing with the AI, because the AI is meant to handle a lot of the tech work and to handle a lot of simple tickets, while, the MSP and the techs are more focused on critical issues within the company, longer term thinking, and stuff along those lines. So the goal is to get more clients without adding extra headcount. So yeah, and as I kind of started explaining already, pricing is the difficult part with these tokens. Like, what do these tokens mean? Yes, we have two co-pilots. So we have Mingo, right? That helps the technician. He can work with the fleet-wide. He can help, write scripts. He can create policies. He can write knowledge bases. He can guide you through the platform and how things work. And we also have Faye, which sits on the endpoint itself and helps the end client diagnose any issues that they may have before it ever gets to the tech and before the tech has to spend their valuable time, fixing a simple L1 issue. So how do we price it, right? Like yes, we understand that we have the 10 million and the 25 million gifted tokens, but what does that mean? How does it exactly work? So obviously, many vendors in the space, they're baking in the price. Some they gate it, so you have to pay this much or have this plan to use the AI, and then some users have the per seat price. We decided let's just screw all that. Let's just give a set number of tokens per month, which is enough for the user to get a feel for what the AI can do and how much time we can save them in the long term. Because that's really kind of what we're aiming for, right? Is we're trying to make MSPs, we're trying to help them win back their time, and we're trying to make them more efficient with their time. So basically, what we came to realize is, and how we came to the numbers of 10 million and 25 million, is we took a look at all of the beta data that we had, all of the users that used the product, how many AI sessions there were, how many messages were sent, And then basically working backwards from the data that we had, we figured out a way that would make sense based on the data that we have. And essentially the assumptions that we had at the very beginning was that, a proper Mingo session where he's like diagnosing an entire fleet or, I don't know, clearing like disk space on an entire organization in one session, like those types of things are really going to, cost a lot of tokens. And we thought like any properly done work would cost around 1 million tokens. But in reality, it's actually much cheaper. An actual like task, depending on the complexity and the length of the conversation with the AI, can cost anywhere between, 50 to 200K tokens. Now, those numbers are variable. They can change over time, but it's typically in that ballpark. And this is in the favor of the customer, right? So you essentially pay less in AI tokens to solve the technical problem or resolve a technical task that you had. It comes out to be much cheaper than what we originally thought. So, and the thing about this again is the reason that we decided on 10 million and 25 million is considering like if we say on average, like a proper Mingo session is going to cost around 100,000 tokens. If we give a certain amount of tokens up front, right? So let's say, with 10 million, this gives the user, let's say if one session is 100K, then if you multiply that number by 100, you get basically 100 free Mingo sessions, proper Mingo sessions of him working on your fleet, fixing issues, resolving bugs. And you also get help from Faye deflecting tickets on the L1 side, on the L1 side of things. So essentially you have 100 free diagnostic cases where you pretty much clean out a lot of the bugs that can be existing on devices or just, fixing whatever issues that there may be. And we thought, well, we need to give people an incentive to use the AI, right? And we don't want to charge people right away for using the AI because, people, if they understand that every time they click on Talk to Mingo and ask them a question, they're being charged on the back end, this may make them more reluctant to actually press the button more often, right? So as kind of a way to push AI adoption in this space, because a lot of MSPs still are not very reliant on AI. They think that it can, make critical mistakes and essentially do more harm than good. But basically, in order for us to tech work, we needed to give tokens for free. And this totally made sense to us. And obviously the amount of tokens we get out for free may change with time. It'll become less, it'll become more, we'll see. But the idea was to give tokens for free and to give more tokens for free to those users that are seeing us as a long-term solution to their MSP issues. So that's why we're giving 10 million away for users that sign up on the monthly and then 25 million away for users that sign up on the annual. Right. So that's like basically like 100 Mingo sessions and 250 Mingo sessions per month. So your team is in good hands. And initially we thought that token usage was based on the difficulty of the task that was actually added to do. But in reality, it's more about how long the conversation actually is, because even conducting some basic processes within a machine isn't as expensive as you might think. It's more about having the lengthy conversation with the AI and trying to resolve an issue over a long session cycle. So that was kind of an interesting point. And for the free trial, so we are currently in trial mode. We are giving out 5 million tokens, which is about 50 Mingo sessions for free for users to get a feel for it. And from there, obviously, if a user likes the product, we ask them to, pay for that first month, and then they get the 10 million moving forward or commit to an annual plan. We're not forcing people to enter their credit card information, right? We're trying to be very transparent about it. We'll be sending like invoices at the end of the month and stuff like this, like, proper non-schemy vendor tactics that you guys are probably very annoyed by or have had bad experiences with. We're trying to be very transparent, very self-serve, very much basically, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. No commitments, no hard feelings. We're all pretty open to it. So if you guys have not tried OpenFrame, or if you tried OpenFrame a few months ago and you felt that it was still lacking, we've released version 1.0, and this is pretty much the commercial version. Obviously, we're still working and improving it every single week. We're adding more features, we're fixing bugs, but this is pretty much a pretty good view of what the foundation of the product is going to look like moving forward, and it's pretty much ready for you guys to go out and test it. So I hope this answered some questions. I hope this information was valuable, and thank you guys for watching.